Hey guys. ah, so I took a break from recording podcasts because I wanted to create a new thing, and I did. I am recording my sacred autobiography. The structure of it is telling my story and weaving in the podcasts that are relevant to my spiritual awakening. And so this is sort of the rough introduction to my sacred autobiography. I don't have a title yet. That will probably happen after it's completed. But after this last year that I have had the hardest year of my life. And coming out the other side of it has been this incredibly transformative experience. And so this story starts at the moment when I felt that shift. Have you ever felt that moment where you know that your life is headed in a totally new trajectory and it's not in front of you yet, but you can feel it? That's where we pick up the story. I hope you enjoy it.
Huh. I'm on another road trip. Another adventure. Only this time, I feel like I'm on my way to starting my new life. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I think that's just what's about to happen. And I'm so here for it. I'm looking out at this beautiful snow covered prairie, and surrounding me are puffy clouds, bright blue sky, and there's a beautiful range of snow capped mountains to my left, and the sun is shining. And I am just happy to be on a road trip again. And it's pretty crazy for me to say that because my last two road trips were complete, well, they were, it, it was a death defying roller coaster ride, both of them. There were ways in which I understood that I should have died, including a car accident that totaled my car. And then I know that there are a lot of ways that I should have died that I don't even know about.
In 10 miles, turn right to merge onto I-80 West toward Rollins.
And I know that that sounds a little bit preposterous to say, but I was fighting a spiritual war. I was engaged in spiritual warfare. And I got hit with everything. What's so ironic about it is that because the witches and the karmics and the agents and the gang stalkers and the military and well, I wouldn't say the military, I'm not sure, whatever group within the military who's tracking me, they were all, and the handlers, my handlers, every single one of them was like, "Hey, let me fuck up your life right now," and I was all alone, and I kept following my intuition, and God, source, divine energy kept leading me into these situations. Anyway, we'll get into that story, but I probably should do a little bit of an introduction about who I am so that you understand how it is that I'm saying these insane things. But because I was attacked by all of these forces all at once, and I was so connected to source energy, all of it just kept giving me new gifts. I have all of these spiritual gifts now that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around and understand just how powerful they are and how far they go. Yeah, so I think that that's going to be part of this next chapter, this new life that I'm heading into, is space to really understand what spiritual gifts I've been given, because they're crazy. I mean, I already see some of them. One of them, and I'll tell you about, that is, it's a blessing and a curse, man. It is a blessing and a curse, but it's also balance. It's also beautifully poetic balance, because you see, my entire life, I didn't realize, but I could see people's higher selves. When I would engage with people, I would activate their highest self, and that's who I got to interact with. And it was awesome. It didn't work all the time, definitely not, but it was why I was able to fall in love with so many people in my life, even though they were doing things that were not from love. But I learned how to forgive in so many dramatic ways that it's now a superpower. And so those two things together kept me trapped in a loop for a really long time. And this spiritual war was the thing that allowed me to access the other side of that power, which is being able to see people on their lowest timeline. And that has been crazy. When it first came online, it was really scary, because it's like I could read their minds. It's like I could read their minds, and I could see what their lowest timeline was plotting and planning. And so I would just like evade that shit. And so I've been on this sort of quest to minimize my exposure to people who could potentially, well, rack up some bad karma. I'm not worried for me, but I just don't want to be around people who can't see me and just decide to keep racking up bad karma. It's much easier to be around people who are not trying to kill my vibe. Like, all of my closest people, I just do things that I'm like, wait, why are you trying to kill my vibe? I don't understand. I used to be able to bring everyone to my vibe. I used to be able to bring everyone up to the vibe. And now, instead of being able to do that, I just see people for where they're at. And, God bless them. Bless them for their journey. We all have crazy rides. We all have different paths. And it is divinely inspired. And who am I to interrupt their path, especially if they're not open to receiving the gifts that I have to give? Because I have so many gifts to give. I think one of my superpowers is being able to see how you can make your dreams come true, how you can create your dream life. And it's like just one conversation. I've done it a couple times now, and I've had to learn how to detach from the outcome, because I can see it so clearly, and it is so beautiful for that person. And then they don't do it. Then they just...
1 mile. Turn right to merge onto I-80 West toward Rollins.
and then they just don't do it, They just let their shadow, let the dark energies convince them that it's not possible. And I have gotten to the place now where I recognize the fact that, well, my energy is best used elsewhere. And
Stay in the middle lane.
And so now God is leading me to that elsewhere, and I don't know where it is, but I'm really excited.
Use the right lane to merge onto I-80 West toward Rollins.
I mean, I'm so excited that I've had to really sort of drop back into my practice of patience, which I have had to really learn. That one was a big one for me because my inner child has no patience. And my inner teenager has no patience. And the masculine side of me, oh my God, does she not suffer fools at all? So I've had to work with all of that because again, everyone gets to choose their own ride, and it's perfect. Whatever ride they chose is
For about
perfect.
208 miles, continue straight.
We just may not be on the same ride, that's all. I just don't think we're on the same ride, and that's fine. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes people are no longer concurrent. And I think that this is a time in the evolution of our planet where concurrency becomes really evident very quickly. In fact, there's not a person I know in my life or that I've met, even complete strangers, who aren't going through some form of reckoning with the closest people in their life and realizing that they're no longer concurrent. And then having to look at that obligation programming that we were all given, especially around family, which goes against everything that we know about God and spirituality. If God's got it, then who are you to intercede? You're just slowing the lesson down, man. Everyone's got to learn their own lesson, and if you get in there, you're just slowing it down. And you're slowing your own journey down. You're slowing everything down. Anyway, my name is Amy. And, that was a long time to get to the introduction. I hope you're still with me. My name is Amy. And the funny thing about my name is that I was always looking for a new name my whole life. I just was convinced that Amy was not meant to be my name and that it was something else. It was really interesting because everyone in my life called me by my last name. It was only in the last 2 years that I had anyone in my circle actually call me by my name, Amy. And I felt like, yes, that is my name. And the problem was that the name Amy means beloved. And for the majority of my life, I had no connection to that word. I didn't know what it meant. I knew it was some form of love. And it was only in the last few years that the word beloved landed in my body. And, oh, God, is it beautiful. It is the best kind of love. It is. And so to have my name mean beloved, yes, absolutely. Yes, please. So, yeah, my name is Amy, and I am an architect of the Renaissance. I am a magnetic storyteller. I am a magic manifester. I am an ascended master. And I recognize how that probably sounds. And, I'm not sure about it myself. I think it might be true, but I'm feeling into it. I've certainly been through and I've reached a point in my life where I am so connected to my higher self and to God and to my intuition. And I've detached from all of my old lives and all of the former versions of me. And I am in this space of deep surrender. And I have found beauty in the mundane. And I have found presence to be my default setting. And I am a master alchemist. I have transmuted some really, really dark shit. And not only have I transmuted it, it wasn't that I can just heal it. It's that I turn it into I make it into power. And I also understand that I'm powered by the sun and that I can tap into these mystical experiences direct with source energy basically anytime I want to, which is like crazy. And I'm like, I see a cop coming by right now, and I'm really hoping he's passing me by. I have no idea how fast I was going. It's just that beautiful long stretch of highway, where you can just cruise. Yeah, so anyway. Oh, and synchronicity and magic is like, it's so off the charts. And it's been like that for so long. And it's actually part of how I began my awakening, because I was experiencing these insane moments of synchronicity, of meeting people and seeing signs and having things happen, that it forced me to understand truly in my soul that I had no idea what this reality was. And once you lose your attachment to what you think this reality is, all of a sudden there's a universe of possibilities of what this is. And it has been so fun to contemplate all of them and have new ones presented to me and be like, oh, well, I didn't even know that. Oh, is it possibly this? And there's a part of me that thinks that they're all of them. That they're all of them. That, well, here's my last outrageous claim. Might as well get all the outrageous claims out there, and then I'll tell you how I got here. Because it's crazy. But yeah, I think I might be a bridge between dimensions. And that's a wild one. At first I thought I could just I guess it's astral traveling. I always thought that it was kind of in a dream state that you did that, but I don't do it in a dream state. I just do it in meditation. And I can hop between dimensions. I can pop in on, and then I can recognize what dimension I'm in, and then I can reset it, go to a different one. And that was all happening during the spiritual war. And now I'm just on the fucking highest timeline. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to still like pop down into other dimensions, but I'm gonna hang out in this higher dimension for a while and kind of lock it in and see what my superpowers have in store for me, like just how far they go, and chill the fuck out, dance my ass off, hopefully have some sex, and expand my mind. So if you don't hear from me for for a little while, just know that's what I'm doing. And you'll see me again. I'll be back. And who knows who that person's gonna be. I can't even. But I'm excited to find out. And I don't know. Is that a good enough introduction? Have I set the stage? So, the way that this audiobook is gonna work is that I recorded an audio diary of my spiritual awakening. Past me left all of these breadcrumbs. So the difference is, if you have listened to my podcast, this is going to be the story behind the story, right? So most of my podcasts were recorded. Some of them were recorded when I was processing in real time. And then when it was like deeply tragic, I would record after I had processed, because frankly, I was a mess, man. I experienced the darkest night of the soul of my life. There are only 2 times in my life where I had suicidal ideations, and I can't do it, because early in my spiritual awakening, I had a meditation that allowed me to feel what it's like to die. And it completely removed my fear of death. And so then, of course, when that happens, life gets hard, and then you're like, well, let me just go home. It's so freaking awesome there. And let me just take myself out, because I want to go back there. And I received another meditation that let me see and understand very clearly that when you take yourself out of this game, we're playing this game of life, you get to do it over again. And there is no freaking way I am doing this over again. No. No way. Nope. No thanks. No. Especially when it's about to get so good. It's no freaking way. But yeah, there were some really, really, really dark moments. And at the time that I recorded the podcasts, I was very protective of the people in my life who had hurt me, because I know them and I know their trauma, and I have so much compassion for every single person who is in this world, because no one has had an easy ride. And some of the people in my life that hurt me the worst have experienced terrible trauma, and I know that they loved me. I know that they loved me. And I also know that they allowed their shadow, dark energy, the devil, witches, whatever you believe in that is the external negative energy. Dark energy is not bad, negative energy is. Whatever that external negative energy force, if you believe there is one out there, and I do, I understand that a lot of what we go through is because of our unhealed shadow. But there is an external force, and I came up against it, and I could see it interfering with the people that were closest to me. And they allowed it to happen, but I also have deep empathy for the fact that we all can open ourselves up to that external negative energy and then make really, really, really terrible decisions that are not in alignment with our soul and that are not in alignment with source. And that happened to me on repeat with a lot of people. And what I'm recognizing now is that if I don't share my complete story, my whole story, I might not be able to fulfill my purpose here. And I can't risk it. I just can't risk it. I got big stuff to do. God kept me around. You don't survive the things that I survived. You don't survive the things unless you have a greater purpose. It's why near-death experiences change people so dramatically, because you recognize that, one, life is a gift. It's such a beautiful gift. And two, you recognize that there is a higher power, and that higher power has got fucking plans for you. And life will be so much better, so much more enjoyable, and your soul will be so much happier if you just surrender. Just surrender to what Source has planned for you. And your ego's gonna want to get in the way, and your unhealed shadows of unworthiness are gonna want to keep you back. And the external forces are going to want to keep you back. There's a strong headwind, but the wind at your back is God. And that's the strongest. And so once you commit to the bit, and let everything else go, it all starts to unfold for you. And it's so beautiful. It's so poetic. It's so much better than you could have ever written for yourself if you were writing the film of your life. The cosmic screenwriters of your film have a beautiful screenplay for you that ends with a happy ending, that ends in victory. I'm going to be fully transparent, and I'm going to do it from a place of love. I don't hold anger anymore for anyone who did things that were harmful to me. In fact, they've been my greatest teachers. And I have so much gratitude for the ride that we went on and the gifts that we had together, and then the gifts that our destruction gave to me. I don't know how things have played out for anyone else. If there's karma, well, that's up to God. And I don't wish anyone any ill will. I think they finally got the message, though. I'll never forget, because I think that this will be the turning point of when I saw the fuckery change course. So I'm on this road trip, and I gotta tell you, if you are wondering whether you're being followed, so pattern recognition has always been a superpower of mine. I have had that thing since the get-go. And so I noticed this one specific make and model of a truck that seemed to be around me everywhere I went. It didn't matter how rural, it didn't matter what stretch of highway, it didn't matter what time of day. So I started paying attention to the license plates, and they all had the same color license plate. And then I started paying attention to the actual model of the truck, and it was all the same model of the truck. And so, but you're like, why? And so the best way to figure out if you're being followed is to drive the speed limit. Because you're usually cruising on the highways, you're going, 10 miles over the speed limit, especially in certain sections of the country where if you're driving the speed limit, people are kind of pissed, right? Like you better be in the right-hand lane. And especially on long, quiet stretches of road, right? And so that's what I did. I was like, well, I'm gonna drive the speed limit and see what happens. And wouldn't you know it, those fucking trucks also started driving the speed limit. And so once I saw this dude behind me, and I gave him a good long time. I was like, okay, he's still behind me, even though I'm now driving the speed limit. Let's see how long this lasts. And it lasted for quite a while. So then I sped back up again, and he sped up again. And now I get like kind of freaked out, right? Wouldn't you get like a little bit freaked out if you ran some tests on your theory and the tests are passing? And it means you're being followed by like dudes in trucks. Old white dudes, mostly older white dudes in trucks. So I start to speed up, and I just look in my rearview mirror and I just stare at him. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then I look back up, and there is a billboard right in front of us, black billboard, white letters, and it says, men, put God first. And I was like, holy shit. And that truck got off the next exit. Now, I'm still totally rattled, and I start crying because I'm existing on this timeline where I am being followed, and like what that means and why that is, and who I might be and who it is that might be following me. All of those stories, all of those possibilities unfold before me. They just all suddenly exist. And I am saying to God, like, I'm already so exhausted. I'm so exhausted at this point. I have been through so much. And I was just trying to find a quiet place where I could be creative and hang out with God by myself. And I just was like, God, I'm exhausted. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to keep going. And I got off that next exit. And as I got to the bottom of the exit ramp, it was like a T, so you could go right or left, and there was a barn right at the end of that exit ramp with a giant billboard, black with white lettering, and it said, God will sustain you. And, of course, I burst into tears. I've cried so many tears, all the tears of joy, tears of desperation and sadness, but the tears of devotion, the tears of knowing, the tears of love, of knowing that God has me and that he's with me all the time, and he's rooting for me, and he's championing me, and he's divinely protecting me, and he's got big plans for me, bigger than I could even comprehend. And so, yeah, it's like that. It's been like that. And my voice is sounding, I got so emotional. My voice is sounding a little bit raspy. I better wrap this up. I'm gonna lead into the first podcast that I ever recorded that was my own. And I was a creative mercenary my entire life. And so having the courage and the bravery to actually create something for me, something that I wanted to create because I was inspired to create it, that was such a huge leap for me. And I remember the first time I sent out something that I had created from me, I felt so vulnerable. And now I am just by creating all over the place, man. That's the other thing. That's another gift that I have. Oh my God. I am just a freaking idea machine. Like, I'm like handing out ideas like they're candy. They're all like coming from source energy. They're not mine. I'm not going to take credit for it. And in fact, here's a great place to put out a disclaimer. The things that I say, the way that I work my magic with other people, that the shit that comes out of my mouth is not me. It's not me. Half the time I can't even remember what I said. And that ends up being kind of awkward because I'll have these deep conversations with someone who I've met, strangers, friends, whoever, and we'll drop into this deep conversation, and I will ask the question or say the thing that shifts their entire, that shifts them, that changes their life for real. I didn't even know I was doing this. It's taken a while for me to figure out that this is what I'm actually doing. But it's what I'm actually doing, and you'll hear that in the first episode. It was funny to go back and listen to it, because I'm like, oh, it was right there, girl. It was right there. You did that for him, and you do it for everyone. It's just what you do.
Road closed in 80 miles. Your route has been updated. For about 52 miles. Continue straight.
Oh, there's a road closed ahead? I wonder what that's all about. Interesting. Okay, now I really gotta go because I gotta see where I'm being redirected.
Hey, it's Amy again. So, yeah, that's the introduction. And I had the courage to post this and to keep going because I sent the introduction to a friend. And if you care to listen, what I've included at the end here is her reflection of what she took away from listening to it, and then my response to her. So, a little Easter egg at the end. And if you are interested in receiving the entire audiobook, the first 33 people who subscribe to my newsletter on my website, magicalsoup.com, will receive the very first copies for free as soon as it is done. And I don't think it's going to take me very long, actually. Thanks again if you made it this far. I really appreciate and honor your attention.
Hi, Amy. Your voice is very, very, how should I say this? Like, there's this attraction, this energetic pull towards that I can feel, especially in your podcast episode. So I look forward to listening to it. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I can feel that this is deeply personal. And I was like clipping parts of the language because you had asked which parts resonate with me and, what do I want to hear more of and, feel into more of. And first, I want to say I love just like this description of yourself. And you do this in a couple of places. Like, first is when you introduce yourself and you say, so yeah, my name is Amy. And then you describe yourself as, you say, I am an architect of the Renaissance and I am a magnetic storyteller. I love how you describe yourself there. It's got this very concise way of describing a very well constructed concept of self, using the term architect and also Renaissance. It just, it's like a picture represents 1,000 words. You've managed to use very few words to describe something much, much bigger. And then you also describe yourself as a creative mercenary, which is also like, I mean, incredible. So yes, love your word choice there. And yeah, I deeply resonate with some of the parts where you describe your spiritual gifts. That could be a blessing and a curse. The part where you describe engaging with people, you would activate their highest self. And I used to say there's also this very simple way, endearing way, and humble way that you kind of follow a very like impactful sentence with a almost like innocent childlike comment that follows that. Like when you say, when I would engage with people, I would activate their higher self, and that's who I got to interact with. And then you follow with, and it was awesome. So it's just like a great juxtaposition of like something profound and then something so simple and emotionally resonant. And I think there's also a sophistication and simplicity as well. And then you also mentioned, yeah, you kind of like, I love the way that you oscillate between high and low. Like, yes, you would activate their highest self, but it didn't work all the time. And you beautifully kind of wrap that descent in this like silver lining when you mentioned, that you learned how to forgive and that forgiveness was also a second part of your superpower. So I don't know what happened in my like experience, but lately I have also been appreciating humans for who they are with all of their treasures and especially with all of their flaws and not wanting to change any bit of it and letting them be and appreciating them as a whole rather than trying to hook into little components of themselves and trying to change or, I don't know, like contort myself in one way or another with some aspects of who they are. It's kind of like this, I describe it as like a divine love or a divine appreciation when we look at, let's say, like a sunset or a sunrise, and we just appreciate it for all its beauty because I couldn't have created that myself if I tried. And I also don't try to edit a sunrise or a sunset. It's beautiful just the way it is. And yeah, it's kind of like in human form, if I had to liken us human beings as a sunset or sunrise, seeing the divine child in them before all of this life happened to us and we were programmed with these limiting beliefs and triggers and anxieties and attachments and fears and all of them and traumas. So I deeply resonate with that. And so thank you for sharing that. You describe it very beautifully in your work. Another thing I noticed was you intersperse the GPS voice in your narration, which I think is super brilliant. It adds dimensionality. It adds a little bit of suspense that something else is percolating and coming, because at the top you also mention your near-death accident while on the road trip. So there is this like, beautiful narration, and it's interspersed with this like anticipation that there's also something else that is brewing throughout. So it's not like this one-dimensional way of storytelling. And personally, I sit in anticipation of how you really kind of foment that part of the near-death experience and the GPS voice. I thought that was really, really incredible. And yes, a magnetic storyteller you are, because you, again, like completely like very resonant with where I am. You say, I've detached from all of my old lives and all the former versions of me, and I'm in this space of deep surrender, and I have found beauty in the mundane, and I have found presence to be my default setting. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do. If today version of me were to whisper in the version of me a year ago that I would quit my job and move to Mexico, I would be like, you're fucking out of your mind. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't, and it's not supposed to. And I think that deep surrender is surrendering into whatever is, and I'm not in charge. And I think for me, the challenge is trust. How do I trust in the bigger universe? And yeah, you also go into the theme of surrender. And yeah, you really like ring fence this in a very realistic way. Like your ego is going to want to get in the way. Your unhealed shadows of unworthiness are going to want to keep you back. External forces. Oh my God. I mean, all of this, like people telling me living in Mexico's a mistake. I don't understand why. I'm concerned. Is it safe? Unworthiness. I mean, leaving work, and it's so my inner thought process being, this is so irresponsible. You've worked all your life trying to build up your net worth, and like, this is what you're going to do. Like, what was all this work for? And yeah, ego wanting to get in the way, like identity. What is it? What am I doing now? What am I producing? What am I doing? And yeah, really trying to shift into the being part. Having found presence to be default beauty in the mundane. I mean, walking around, Mexico City is gorgeous. And I love all of the tropical, like wildly growing plants all around the city. I feel like I'm, living in this urban jungle, and even the cracks in the pavement from the earthquakes and the tangled, crazy mess of like fiber optic cables that are dangling like a bird's nest that sometimes I have to dodge, and the wires are split open, like all of it, all the natural beauty and all of the urban beauty is what I get to take in every day. Those walks between home and the grocery store, home and the gym and the whatever, errands, like every moment of it, the in-between times that I thought were kind of like get it over with, like the walk over there is now kind of like the highlight of my life. And I really loved how you described the surrender piece and having the fact that there's like a strong headwind, because that is like exactly how I feel. And then you say, but there's a wind, there's the wind at your back, which is God, and that is the strongest. So I think I'm at a point where I'm trying to believe that as much as possible and commit to the bit. I could never have guessed the direction that my life has taken. It's crazy, but as I'm living it, I'm like, this is brilliant and it's perfect. And it's just what I need. So I love this intro. I think it's so beautiful. I guess the part that leaves me wondering, and I know this is just an introduction, is it all obviously is alluding to something in your life that has happened. There may be moments where I feel a little concerned and worried, because I don't want to lose you, and there's a little bit of attachment there. It seems like this is just the start of many, many like different pieces, not even just like stacking in a modular vertical way, in a one-dimensional way, but like in a multi-dimensional way. And so, yeah, I am very curious. I love it so far. And I listened to your most recent voice note again, and it's just, yeah, like an incredible reminder of like how scary it can be, but like how beautiful it all is. So, yeah, thank you for being in my life and opening your hearts and being you and sharing you. And I appreciate you.
Oh my God. You cannot possibly know what a gift your freaking message is. Like, the whole thing is such a gift. I had I had kind of yeah, had enough stuff happening that I was finding that I was struggling with being inspired to continue. Sometimes you're just uninspired, and your message relit that fire in me. Thank you. And your description of Mexico City and the beauty that is your analysis and thought and reflection and your care for me, all of it is just so beautifully poetic, and it just means the world to me. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm totally good. I had to heal myself. I did. And I went on a camping trip by myself to Moab and had the most incredibly magical experience that allowed me to, do another round of forgiveness and come back to my default setting. I just love people, and I love this world, and I love life. And, sometimes the world can do its best to drain that from you. And all you need is a couple days in nature to remind you, and then a beautiful friend to help you focus, and you're right back in it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah.